Now China is going to hold another Olympic game. Our best friend, Russia, is making another war. Is this coincident? Is Russia still our best friend? And when Putin comes to Beijing on that day, how can he explain to China on one side and to the rest of the world? And can he still command the war from Beijing? I imagine. I just let my fantasy running. It's okay. Anyway, for your short answer, it's a dumb question, but for your wise answer at the end of the talk. I still cannot imagine what can people get. There will be huge sanction towards Russia from Western camp. Germany will suffer. China will suffer indirectly as well. Ukraine will suffer. European Union will suffer as well. Because now, if we try to look at what happened in the last 2 weeks, the United States basically was stepping out in front of and trying to replace the European Union. When it came to the talk between Russia and the NATO, it was Wendy Sherman.
Ambassador,
yeah.
Ambassador, I think Germany can play a role.
Indeed.
Germany
what kind of role?
Germany can stop this.
Oh. Right.
And Germany can have a European model, European approach, not a NATO approach. Although Germany is a part of NATO, but you are Europeans. You are different from United States. And NATO is dominated by United States. Everybody knows this, you know. And I think, you know, it's time for Berlin, it's time for Paris to work together to tell Putin, let's work for another you know, model to solve this issue. You mentioned that Ukraine is the core of this trouble. I agree. You know, how to respect Ukraine, how to protect Ukraine's sovereignty. I agree with you. You know, a country, any country, should have their own core interest, and the sovereignty, territorial integrity is number one. And I think talk with Putin. You know, how to protect this by working, not using NATO as a military threat.
Yeah, but how can that be? I mean, what Putin demands is that there's a guarantee NATO will not enlarge. First, no new members for NATO ever. Mm-hmm. Secondly, not just Ukraine, but no, Sweden, Finland, no one must be a member of NATO anymore. Secondly, no troops which are not national forces must be on the territory of NATO members, which are neighboring countries of Russia. How can they be safe? I mean, again, think of Latvia, think of Estonia. They will not be permitted to make Russia feel safe, not to have troops on Estonian territory, because Estonia is such an enormous threat to Russia. It's a joke. It's a joke. That is why no European country can mediate here. There is one proposal on the table, which the Americans and Europeans proposed, which is restart disarmament talks. Disarmament has stopped a few years back, you remember, and you remember the reaction of Donald Trump to a decision taken by Putin to station some of his missiles fairly far to the west. But since then, the Americans have also stopped disarmament talks and so on and so on. Why not restart them? And that would allow Putin at least a little bit to keep a little bit of face by telling his people, you see, I have forced the Americans to take a step back, and I have forced the Europeans to agree to talk to us about disarmament. And then it's on a long, long timeline, because these negotiations usually take obviously years, and then everything will be forgotten. But will he accept that? Will he accept that? that at least is something. There is a compromise. It's not that nobody thinks about how to find a compromise. But Putin has boxed himself into a corner, and I wonder how to get out of it. It's really, I mean, why doesn't China mediate? The best friend internationally of Putin's Russia is China.